and see what happens.
Could I
comes
just
out of the convention.
kind of zero in on the central question, though, Congressman? Is there a dime's worth of difference then between Mitt Romney and Barack Obama, in your view? Is there a dime's worth of difference between the Democrat Party and the Republican Party? You're running as a Republican, yet I kind of tend to hear you say, I'm sort of the standard bearer, and everybody else, Republican or Democrat, are all part and parcel of the same thing.
Most of our supporters have come to that conclusion. Not so much on the rhetoric.
How about you?
No. Well, if I look at history, no, there's no significant difference. Look, I was a great champion and pushed Reagan in '76 on, but the deficits exploded. Bush got in. We had the Republicans and the Democrats. Bush doubled the size of the Department of Education. He gave us prescription drug programs, and the wars accelerated, even though he ran on the position of a humble foreign policy. So there isn't a whole lot of difference. But if you say, is there a dime's worth of difference? Maybe there's a nickel's worth of difference, because maybe Romney is going to be better on taxes. I believe him when he tells us that. But who knows what's going to happen? Bush said he wouldn't bring no new taxes, but he lost his election, because he gave us new taxes. But so if you look at overall, the people in charge of the Republican and Democratic Party have the same foreign policy. They have the same monetary policy. They believe in the entitlement system. They don't worry that much about deficit. What other candidate other than myself has actually said have real cuts the first year? And, of course, mine is a cut $1 trillion. I think this debt problem, this debt bubble we have, is much more serious than anybody's willing to admit.
Congressman, why do you run as a Republican? Why not just run as an independent?
Because we don't have a democratic system in this country. If I ran as an independent, I might not even be on your show. You probably would let me be on your show, but I wouldn't be in debates. Do you think the third-party people are going to be in debates? No. If you had $1 billion, you might be able to compensate. Getting on the ballots really, really tough, and the Republicans and the Democrats write all the rules. What bugs me is we go overseas, we send young people over, and they die, so to speak, to spread democracy and have elections. They finally have some elections overseas, and we ignore them because we don't like the people they elect. At the same time, we don't have a fair democratic process here. You must work within the major parties, and if you come to this conclusion that they're the same, this is the mess that we get into. So I don't see that there's a whole lot of difference. I just think that the process is a philosophic struggle. We can work our way out of this if we change it. And this is what I think we're doing in our campaign, because half of my support, if you do a national poll, comes from non-Republicans.
Do you want to see the Republican Party reformed, or do you just want to do away with parties?
I want to see the country reformed. I want to see an economic policy and property rights and monetary policy reformed. I want both parties to change their foreign policy. And I refer a lot to Nixon's statement in the early 70s when he got us off the gold standard. He says, well, we're all Keynesians now. Well, I don't want any of us to be Keynesians. I think it's a deeply flawed economic system. It invites all this monetary manipulation and fixing of interest rates and deficits. They believe in deficits. I mean, if you listen to Paul Krugman or Bernanke, these people think you should spend more money and print more money in a time of a crisis that was caused by too much spending and too much debt and too much printing of money. Yeah. So that has to be reversed, and it is not a partisan issue.
You told CNBC yesterday, this is a quote I'm reading, if tomorrow Romney had the absolute number of delegates, I would probably continue in a modified way to maximize the number of delegates to go to the convention. So you do intend to just soldier on to the convention?
I mean, why drop out of a race that's still going? Nobody's finished the line.
So to that end, you support what Gingrich is doing too, yes?
Yeah, but I don't support deficit financing.
Yeah, but I mean, in terms of this notion of people should just get out of the way and let Romney
what kind of system is that? They've been doing that for 3 months now, bugging all the candidates to say, "Oh, get out." Well, what kind of a system is that one?
Who would you say of this entire slate, if you had to pick? And I know you're asked this question a lot, but who would you say of this entire slate of candidates from the beginning would you say you most closely identified with in policy?
No, I think they're all the same. I think they're all interventionists. They were trying to outdo themselves on being more aggressive in starting the next war. Who could be the toughest? None of them were open to the idea that maybe we ought to talk to the Cubans and have trade with Cuba. I mean, they all love sanctions.
So besides your son, is there anyone in the Republican Party in Congress with whom you agree with most ideologically?
Probably Justin Amash, but there's quite a few that I agree with on some very important issues. You take a Dennis Kucinich, I agree with him. We agree with each other and work together on foreign policy and civil liberties. Justin Amash is very, very close. He's a young congressman from Michigan. And there's a lot of them who have bits and pieces. There are some who are very, very good on economic policy, and some are very, very good on civil liberties. I say the freedom message brings people together by protecting your personal liberty and your economic liberty instead of having two pieces of liberty together. And if you come to this conclusion, then you have a foreign policy that says the foreign policy should give a strong national defense, and we shouldn't be in nation building and getting involved in the internal affairs of other nations, which was a strong advice by our founders, as they spoke so often in the city of Philadelphia.
And that, Congressman, is one of the reasons I really wanted to have you on. I was impressed and frankly pleased to see that you chose that venue. I think that's an important venue, and thousands turned out in the rain to see you speak there. So I'm glad you highlighted that place. I wish more would. And look, we're going to be in Tampa in August, so if you're planning on being there, we'll be there. Hope we can talk to you again.
That'd be nice.
Thank you, Congressman Paul.
Thank you.
Mornings 5:30 to 9. Wake up with Chris Stigall on Philadelphia's Talk Radio 1210.